Hi, my name is Shawn Taylor. That's my friend Chris Ford, aka The Objective Geek of YouTube and Twitter fame. And I feel like I'm uncomfortably close to the camera right now. I don't know why. It really bugs me. I think it just
No,
because it
I think
makes.
I think for once you're actually like not too far back. Sometimes you're very far back and I'm big, but this is probably the most we've been close.
I don't consider myself an arrogant person, so this isn't a cliche. I literally have a big head. And so I try to overcompensate for that in our videos by making you look bigger than me.
Okay.
It's a reverse. It's an undercompensation because you're making
Mm.
it smaller than it is, which is starting to get pretty weird to talk about. Anyway, Chris, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I am spending way too much money on action figures and my wife doesn't know about. But
Happens to the best of us. I
yeah,
mean, not always action figures, but other things.
yeah, that makes- I do have I was able to find this nice Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles NECA one. This one is the uh Michelangelo and Raphael. I bought the other two pack on eBay, so hopefully that will get in and not be a ripoff. But
That's awesome. That looks
very
great.
excited about these. These are probably like the best action figures I've seen. Like the translation from screen to physical toy is like 1 to 1.
No, they
Really
look
good.
tremendous, even over camera. I mean, my quality is mediocre, but I feel like I can see the detail very well even through the camera.
Yeah,
I
and I
keep
already
thinking
have.
that we'll stumble on like cool avatar prizes and stuff yet. Like I keep going to Five Below and I check Mercari and stuff every day. Uh, I just keep finding like not that used is bad or anything like that, but for prizes, I feel like used would be strange. I'm probably overthinking it.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Anyway, what else have you? Are you making progress on videos? I believe.
Videos. You know that meme of like a couple different memes going to mind. You know that meme of like a person playing with their kid in the pool, and the other kid is in the back drowning.
Videos are
All right. Well,
the hopefully
yeah.
videos of the drowning kid as opposed to your actual
Pretty much
children.
every yeah.
Okay, good. Just checking.
The kid I'm currently playing with is action figure repainting, and all my other hobbies are drowning right now. Like play video games, working out. Well, working out that's pretty much like at the bottom of the ocean, at the
Yeah,
bottom
working
of
out
the
is
pool right now.
done.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm not really. I haven't been watching any movies really. It's just like right when the kids go to bed, I'm just tinkering away at action figure repainting. That's a lot of fun for me for some reason.
It's very cathartic, right? Like it's purely expression, and it's like calming and peaceful. I can see how. I don't think I would enjoy it
Yeah.
because I'm like bad at painting, but just a cathartic, the equivalent of like how people actually enjoy reading books sometimes. I don't identify well with those people, but
Yeah.
I know they're out there. I My hobbies that are drowning would be so I still exercise. I exercise when I play games, and I encourage everybody to like get yourself a exercise bike or a standing elliptical or whatever you gotta do because that's the only like time that I actually
Mm.
exercise is when I'm playing video games. But all of the other hobbies that are drowning because I built a new computer. So if we look different for like a few weeks to like figure things out, it's because I'm kind of starting from scratch with OBS, which we use to record, and I am still like moving over old components and assets that I need. So if we look and sound different, if it's better, like tell us for heaven's sake. It'd be like, all right, I'll do less work. That's great. If it's better. But I've been building a computer, and it turns out I'm not very good at building computers. It took a very long time. But then I also have a charity basketball event next weekend. So not this episode, but like right after the next episode comes out. And I have a original rules basketball, just pick up basketball. And for those who don't know, Chris and I live pretty close to Lawrence, Kansas. And even though he is not from here, he did coach here, Dr. James Naismith. He coached at the University of Kansas. And so we pretend like we invented basketball. We did not invent basketball. But
You guys do pretend
we
like
do. We
it's
pretend hardcore. Like it's
like KU is like this is the mecca of basketball.
in Springfield, Massachusetts. This is just over there. Like
The original rules
what?
need to be brought
Right, the
held
rules are
here
here.
at Allen Fieldhouse.
James Naismith is like buried here, and people will like make that the claim to fame. Is like, what if it was just really inconvenient in 1920 or whatever to ship somebody to Massachusetts to bury him? You know, maybe it was a great expense for his family. They didn't want to do that. But anyway, we cling to our Dr. James Naismith and basketball mecca out here, and so gonna do a pickup basketball tournament. And then because food, I mean, food is always an issue, but it's still a major issue for pandemic and job loss related reasons right now. We're going to give the money to the local food pantry in Lawrence. So if you want to enter a raffle, hit me up before February 26th, 2022, and you can enter the raffle. You don't have to be present to win. Or if you feel like making a trip to the mecca of basketball, but instead of like one of the good places where it's really cool to play, it's like an old rec center. Instead of the mecca of basketball, it's like if you stopped at a quick trip on your way to the mecca of basketball, and that's where we're playing.
The only other like location that people consider the mecca of well, one thing, everyone considers this place the mecca. Well, not everyone. Everyone except for KU people kind of
Don't
consider
say
this place the mecca of
Staples.
basketball. No, New York.
Okay.
I'm not that.
So upset if he said Staples. It's like that place you shared with the Clippers for decades. Okay, no, you're right. New York gets like a big time rep. There's like New York and then oddly Philadelphia, the city of Philadelphia. I know I'm going to screw this up, but it's got like 5 Division I colleges in the city of Philadelphia, which is kind of mind-boggling to me personally, but
and I might be just saying that New York is mega basketball because I've heard Spike Lee say it so many times and emphatically that I'm like, well, it must be true. And I mean, I've heard that from other people also.
I
like,
think it's
who
just
aren't
because
New York related.
Madison is the most probably
The Garden.
iconic basketball venue probably ever
I mean,
at this point, I would say, right?
I would say so. Yes. I mean, there's the garden, the Garden, and then there's Staples, which isn't Staples anymore. Which
I don't even know what it is now.
It's crypto.com, which annoys me because I don't like cryptocurrency.
And crypto.com just does listen, it's not that we're big Staples people on this podcast, but there's something about Staples that feels
I'm surprised that Staples somehow has held on to the name. They must have had a long-term contract. That company cannot be doing that great right now.
Yeah, are they even around, or is Office Depot taking them over, or is it the other way around? I might be flip-flopping it.
It might be the other way around, but I think they're both still around. They're probably both clinging on dear life.
I would imagine so. Yeah, I think even comparing it to the Garden, probably Madison Square Garden. So I would bite on Madison Square Garden
then,
being like the basketball
what's Boston's called? I forget what Boston. The Boston Celtics. You don't know where their
Trying to think. Nope, I'll have to Google it. It's not coming to my brain.
It's probably like the third most popular.
But I mean, the mere fact that you and I can't think of the name, that's got to be somewhat telling, right?
Yeah.
Well, it'll come. It'll come to us. But I'm
gonna force it to come.
Naismith. Well, that's good because I'm gonna regale you with the story. Naismith Stadium, Allen Fieldhouse, is not like the original stadium either, and so this is like common knowledge among like KU people. But what used to be the basketball stadium is now like a series of 3 massive lecture halls, and I don't know when Allen Fieldhouse and Naismith Stadium therein came to be, but for as like much as we kind of like to treat those as the mecca, like the rules are hanging there, and I think all of our modern championships have been won there, all 3 or whatever there are. It still like isn't even the original KU stadium or anything like that, but we cling to it pretty hard. I love KU basketball. It's great stuff. And if you feel like entering my raffle, that'd be awesome. Donate a little money, maybe win a prize. One of those prizes is tickets to a KU game, so just be cognizant of what prizes you may or may not win. If you don't plan on traveling to Kansas to watch us play Texas, that could be a surprise prize for you. I suppose you could resell them, but that would feel mean spirited. But anyway, yeah, reach out if you would like to donate prior to February 26th, 2022. That'd be awesome. Chris, hit me with
The
the name.
Celtics is called the Boston Garden. That's why I wasn't thinking of it. New York is called Madison Square Garden, but people, I feel
Oh
like people
yes.
call New
Shame
York
on us,
Garden.
though.
But
Especially me. I claim to be a Celtics fan, so shame on me in particular. I should know that.
yeah,
I I went to Washington D.C. once, and they, I wasn't familiar with big cities like at all at that point. This was in college, and I had basically never been to a city larger than Kansas City or Wichita, and so went to Washington D.C. and I'm like walking up a road, and somebody pointed over there, and they're like, "Yeah, that's where the Wizards and the Capitals play." And I looked over, and I was like, "Where?" Like right over there. And so I'm looking at just like it's just a building, like just stuck in between other buildings. It's not like a stadium or anything. And I just remember thinking like, where's the where's the building? I just remember being so baffled because like the only context I had was KU or Arrowhead Stadium, like these things that are just wide open
mm,
in the middle of nowhere most of the time. So I was
yes.
very confused, and I did not get to go to a then Wizards game, but I did want to pretty bad. I did want to. Anyway, unrelated story. Chris, I think amid all the basketball talk, at some point we actually have an episode to talk
Yes.
about. I
Oh,
think
you know what? Before that,
Oh, please.
so this is Avatar related. um, so Viacom, CBS, I think they're now changing official name to Paramount. Probably just to
Like as a whole
match up with
company or
their. I want to say yes.
Oh, crazy. Okay, they're really pushing
Yeah.
some marketing with that. I like that.
No, no. Right.
Okay.
So they had their investors meeting, which their investors meeting is like they announced all these projects. And so many of us Avatar fans was like, oh, they might actually announce what their Nets, what officially at least what the Nets Avatar project is going to be, right? So they announced last year that they're going to do a theatrical movie that's going to be animated and like a couple different shows and stuff like that. They did not announce anything. They didn't even mention Avatar, which so many of us were mad at. Like, because we watched, I
It's
say
the
we
only
as if I got
reason to
together
tune
with
into that
people.
for a certain group of people.
I say we as if like me and a couple other people got together and watched it, but I could just tell like people were watching it on Twitter, like people that I follow and stuff, because we're all like anticipating possibly just a mention of like, hey, this is our next project. We weren't expecting like, here's some concept art or even here's a trailer or anything like that. Just what the next story was going to be about. Nothing, not nothing at all. Which caused some people to a little bit concerned. I don't think there's anything to be concerned about. Mike and Bryan, they they go at their own pace. They even said there's going to be like a couple years until anything is released, so probably 2025. So I get you don't want to announce something too early and then have to have people sit on it for like 2 years or so. So I get it, but still disappointing because I was watching the meeting like and then they got to like children's animation like all right this is gonna be it right here. Nah.
Nothing. I, they could have just popped on screen and been like, Avatar Studios news coming someday.
Yes.
And you would have been like, okay, at least thanks for acknowledging,
Yeah.
even though I'm still upset.
The
Better,
thing is,
better than nothing.
like Avatar, I'm not just saying as an Avatar fan, partially, but Avatar has the potential to rival stories of Star Wars, that universe, and that universe has expanded a lot. I mean, like, and the thing is, you also don't have to be slave to like nostalgia necessarily or making it all tie in. Like, you can tell a story about an Avatar 1,000 years, yeah, 1,000 years ago, and have it be completely new but still very familiar with it. You have a story. I would love a story just about Azula, not even having Aang in it, because you can have all these side stories with very important characters, but that story's way in the future. So I don't know. I'm just saying they gotta, and I know they're gonna take care of it. I'm glad that Mike and Brian are involved. I just hope they stay involved and stay inspired and stay um happy. I guess I hope they're happy.
I suppose the benefit of having your own studios, hopefully that means there's a little less pressure from the studio to rush things.
Yes,
I
yeah.
would like to think
Like
that would
you
be a
are
benefit.
the like Mike and Brian, like Amy Pascal runs like a certain Sony division. I forgot who's the head. Kathleen Kennedy is at the head of the studios that takes care of Star Wars. Like sure she answers to like the head of Disney, but she is the end all be all when it comes to Star Wars. That's Mike and Brian for Avatar.
So I feel like yeah, that's a benefit. Is we'll have to be more patient, but hopefully going at their own pace leads to high quality products.
Yeah.
Would rather have fewer quality things than bad rushed things like in video games. Anything else good come out of that Paramount investors meeting?
Uh, they announced Star Trek 4.
Interesting. Not a
Really,
Trekkie myself,
I,
but I know there's a lot of people that'll be very excited.
I, I'm not Trekkie, but apparently I'm more of a Trekkie than I am a Star Wars fan. Um, I love the first Star Trek movie that came out in like 2009. That's a really great movie. It's probably one of my top 20 movies of all
Oh,
time.
no kidding.
Yeah, I
Both
love it. It's
both you and Ari told me and Heather to watch that movie, and I just ignored both of you. I was like, oh, it's a phase. It'll pass. They won't even
it's fun.
remember this movie in a few years.
So you still haven't watched it yet?
Nope.
Okay, you should watch. Shaw, you should watch. Okay,
What's
I
it?
think it's a really.
What's it on?
I think it's on. I think it's on Netflix.
Okay,
The
not
last time I
on
watched it,
Paramount yet. Okay.
it was on Netflix. But you know, things change all the time.
Netflix loses
Let's
properties all the time now these days.
see here. Not looking good. Well, they got Star Trek Next Generation.
Top 20 all
Interesting.
time. That's pretty high praise.
The thing is, I went into the movie, you know, not caring about Star Trek with a love of Spock. What the heck is that?
I was just talking with my younger brother today about. I don't know why. We both love the movie Heavyweights. And I was just thinking today, after talking with him or quoting something with him, and I was trying to decide if the childhood, probably too insensitive movie, dumb comedy Ben Stiller Heavyweights might actually be like in my top 10 favorite movies of all time.
Was that you that shared something about heavyweights lately, or somebody else? Because I recently saw a something that post about heavyweights.
I don't think I've shared anything about it
Well,
recently.
that's just a coincidence then.
It is probably maybe whoever shared it with you, I saw it also, and that spawned my thought process today. I will say that
Gotcha.
I probably quote that movie 10 to 15 times a week.
I don't remember that movie that well. I just,
It's
I just, yeah.
it has
I didn't even know this
really
was in it until I saw it, and I was like, oh yeah, this is what it was in it.
it has really good comedic pacing. I think is the right term I'm gonna go for. Really good comedic, like just the whole way through. It's very entertaining. There's not really too many lulls or anything like that. Like it just you're just enjoying it the whole way through, and I think that's harder to achieve than people realize when you're still trying to actually tell a real story that's not just a pure dumb comedy, which it tries to do. So, a lot of respect here for heavyweights, oddly enough. But anyway, it's pretty insensitive, I would imagine, by today's standards.
Probably. All right. Ready to get into the episode, Shawn?
Yeah, let's jump into it. We are in Book 4, Balance, Chapter 5, Enemy at the Gates. And I think the nice way to put it is shit's about to hit the fan.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, this is when Kuvira starts to go cuckoo, a little cuckoo. Just she becomes unreasonable, right?
She becomes
Because
pretty heavy handed.
you know she's all about like we got to get order throughout the Earth Kingdom. You're like, all right, the last one left is Zafu. Zafu's like the utopia of the world. They don't need your help. They're doing good. Everywhere else, I get you, Kuvira. Like I get it, but Zafu's pretty well off.
And even instead of launching an all out, like, confrontation, couldn't she just apply a lot of political pressure by basically having united all the lands on every surrounding side? and just like, trade embargoes and things. Like, couldn't you just like some peaceful
I
political
mean,
pressures?
that's interesting. So let's see. Zafu does seem to border the ocean, so
Oh,
they'll
you're
still be
right.
able to trade that way. But still, I mean, you'll be cutting off, probably at least half of their supply lines.
We should look at where it is on a map at some point and identify
So yeah,
like
so
because even if it's on the ocean, if it's on the side I'm thinking about, like it could still be very far removed from anything else reasonably.
so right now I'm looking at a map.
I should have my
Um,
phone so I could actually map
Wait one
stuff.
second. Can you see my screen?
Good enough, yeah.
Right? Yeah, okay. Because I'm watching an episode while I do this. Now, let me go this way. So here, I feel like the weather, man. Here we're going to get a lot of.
Sorry,
Yeah, we're
I was
okay.
thinking about Brooklyn Nine-Nine. We just watched the episode where Jake gets to use the laser pointer. He's talking to Kevin. He's like, "Can I use the laser pointer?" He's like, "It's a bit of a misnomer because it is in fact a laser, but the pointer is you." I don't know why, but I laughed for like 2 minutes at that.
Okay, so here we have the Earth Kingdom, somewhere around there. Over here, where the map doesn't go to, Batar Jr.'s face is about the Fire Nation. Here is Zaofu. As you can see, this is the only remaining area that there is uh, darkly shaded green. So it's a good little bay area, as you can see.
Okay,
You can open up trade routes this way, through that way. Um, so yeah, probably 50% of the area. Honestly, there's probably not that much trading going on right here. I mean, because there's not that much.
but
One thing, you're
as a
getting colder.
throughput to get to the rest of the Earth Kingdom, which would
Yeah, right here is probably where they're doing most of the trading. 'Cause I think, let's
just
see.
down farther into the
I want to
mainland
say,
and Bossing
I
say.
want to say Omashu is around here. Ba Sing Se is like over in this area over here, I believe.
But they would still
But
be pretty cut off unless Zaofu specifically had like a real good relationship with the Fire Nation or something.
yeah, but and also you have to think they probably. I don't think of Zafu as having a really strong navy.
Probably not. Why would they need to? They're pretty self-sustainant internally, and I doubt we're to a
Yeah,
place where I feel like we're probably. I don't know. I'm sure that trade possibilities would be possible with the Fire Nation. I don't know what the Fire Nation's resources look like that many years after the war, but
oh yeah,
that
they
stuff
probably
impacts
definitely do some
economies for a
trading with the
long
Fire
time.
Nation.
So
Still, it's no doubt would hurt them. She could apply some long-term political pressure. I feel like what Russia's doing in Ukraine right now. I don't know.
a little
Actually, is
bit.
it
This is
pretty
about as
similar?
it's about.
Now that I think about it,
I just
I
think that
hope this doesn't end up with a big war with mech machines that are like nuclear
yeah,
bombs,
I hope it's not
potentially.
like Terminator meets Avatar coming up here pretty soon. No, the
Yeah.
wait, what you talking about? The show or the Ukraine and Russia?
I'm talking about real life.
Oh, okay. I don't deal with real life; it's too scary. But long
Yeah,
story
this is what I'm
short,
like. I don't.
Kuvira essentially like comes driving up with her army, like full
Also,
front
Kuvira is like a
straight
crossover
away.
between Putin and Hitler, like whatever that area is there.
That's pretty. That's pretty. What's the
Like
opposite of
she,
high praise? It's the opposite of that.
the
But
thing is, I like
she
Kuvira.
comes out swinging like really big, like swinging big and hard. Like there's no intent of peace,
Yeah.
and it's not there would have had been peace, but like there were non-violent routes that could have been taken. It feels like, and I gotta be honest, this is actually where I'm not gonna say problems too strong of a word for the whole season, but it's where I start to have maybe a little bit of issue with Kuvira's character anti-development or undevelopment or whatever you want to call it, because it's not that it feels totally out of character, but it does take a really big escalation. It escalates very quickly in the next two episodes.
So part of it, and they explain it a little bit later in the season, but they don't go too much into depth with it. Probably could have used that. Is that she is somewhat of a nationalist because she grew up Um, she had nothing, and so she feels like she needs to protect everything, and so that's all her people and stuff. So that's a little bit part of her character, and she wants her whole country to be united as one. Not saying that it all makes sense, because most of the time villain plans don't all make and reasonings don't make 100% sense. But that's a little bit of that background.
I'm gonna stick with the phrase heavy-handed. Like it's not totally out of character. It just a really big shift really quickly that doesn't feel super maybe natural, but minor
Yeah,
nitpicks.
yeah. So Suyin is on her. I'm sorry. Kuvira is on her way to Zaofu. She brought the whole gang, a whole army. I do want to say that. I mean, Mike and Bryan are intentionally making these similarities to Nazi Germany. I mean, they're make if you can notice, they're making all the men have the same haircut. There's a certain conformity that Kuvira is implementing on them, and then if you see how they march and stuff, a lot of it is to have that same kind of imagery. Hold on a second. Okay, then back to the story. Kuvira, she pulls up to Zaofu, and she tries to use like Bolin as a way to get in. And Bolin, one thing because Suyin sees through it, right? They meet, and she's like, "I can't believe you're trying to use Bolin to do this." One thing that I would have probably liked is if Bolin, at one point, he seemed like he's making good points. I would just a little more emphasis on that. The one thing that make Bolin look better. He does mention like he says like, I mean, have you guys seen? Oh, okay, this was my problem. Not problem, but nitpick, I guess. I wanted them to make more of a reason for them, more of a um. I wanted their pitch to Su Yin to be more reasonable. Like, hey, you should join us. You should agree to this, not because I'm going to. If you don't, I'm just going to force you to, but because this, and this. That would have been interesting to see.
More of like, hey,
I
jump
don't.
on the train. Like, look, everybody else is doing it. We're getting along great. And like, even if it's false, and even if you still got the army outside, but still like pretending to go in with the best intentions, kind of.
Yeah, yeah,
I can get on board
maybe.
with that.
Yeah, I mean, she could probably say like, once we're all together, like we're going to be one united front. Like nothing will be able to tear us down before. I mean, before a random group of bandits took down the whole Earth Kingdom. Like we all had to stick together, had to be stronger than ever before. Like without you, you guys have so many resources. We all have to be a united front, essentially.
Even to the extent of
Yeah.
like, hey, we're not going to exact a bunch of change over Zaofu. You're still going to be Zaofu. You're just
Yeah.
Zaofu under the Great Uniter. That's all.
Yeah. And in this episode, I mean, she does mention to her like, you guys have all these like, um,
Technology
you guys have
specifically.
technology and also uh, resources and things like that, minerals, just natural resources that you guys need to share with everything. Like we're trying to have equality here. But really, I mean, she should also pull that card. We do get to see what led up to this, which I think was good to see. We finally get to see what happened. President Raiko and Tenzin goes to Suyin saying like, "Hey, you should." This is a flashback 3 years ago. Telling Suyin, "You're the ideal person to lead the whole nation." And Suyin didn't want to do it, so then Kuvira did it. And I don't blame Kuvira. Like, actually, you gotta thank Kuvira. Like, she went ahead and did it. Sure, she did it behind her back because Suyin wasn't gonna let her do it, and so that's her only option she had. Like, think about it. She went with just Kuvira and probably 50 other people, if I had to guess. I mean, they were in like 6 huge ships, and they went and stabilized the whole Earth Kingdom. Like, that's the biggest body of land. Like nothing comes close to it, and she pretty much alone did it. Like in a way, she kind of deserves Zafu. Like just as a consolation prize. Uh,
She deserves the opportunity to apply political pressure to
yeah, like
Tafu,
why would she give it up to Prince Wu? Like why? Like
especially the Wu
uh,
that we know to this point,
yeah.
who is
I mean, I would say to
worthless.
anybody, like she's a great leader to a certain extent. I mean, wait, she still has those issues with those internment camps.
She's she is an engaging leader. Let's go with that.
Yeah, she just needs to work on a few things. So anyway, and then you see how Batar Jr. then went with her, and Suyan does say that Vero's like a daughter to her. So it just plants even more little background in there. So let me clear my throat.
It and you feel that like it's not, you do believe it, but I do. It's very stark to have her say this, and we got those snippets of Kuvira in the previous season. But we're just now starting to get those snippets of what that relationship was like. But at this point, it does kind of feel like you're just taking Suyen's word for it a little bit. We haven't gotten farther into it just yet, and so I don't know why, but that for me makes this feel. I don't know if like more. Well, I don't know if it makes it feel more or less abrupt, but so like I said, at this point, it just feels like you're kind of taking Suyen's word for it. We haven't seen the relationship developments and all the flashbacks yet that we need to see there between Kuvira and Suyen that informs their relationship. You're still muted, Chris.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Um, oh, also, Varric is testing out. Oh, this I forgot how good of a Varric episode this is.
It is
Um,
great.
Varric is testing out the spirit vines to build a more better power source, efficient power source. He ends up building a weapon, and him and Julie does have some. One thing I love the way he names these things. Like
It weighs
thing is,
approximately 2 Julies.
yeah, like he's measuring like power in way of like Varrics.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it's one Varric, two Varric, five Varrics, and then there's too many Varrics. Really great. This voice, really great Varric
I love it
moments
later
here.
when he falls on top of Julie after she saves her, following the little
Yeah,
explosion, and she's like, "You saved me." He's like, "Of course. I can't clean this up myself.
yeah.
Grab a broom."
But
So much.
no, yeah,
I
that is
hate that
really.
he's suddenly like a scientist, evil genius. Not evil,
I
but
mean, he's always. Oh, he's way more
he's never
sciencey.
been the developer. He's always been the business guy.
No, I mean he's always been.
Has
What am I?
he?
He's always been pretty smart. But
I
the
mean, sure, but
season two was more focused on his business acumen. He wasn't really in season three that much, but he was still doing experiments and stuff because he was doing experiments with like magnetism, and that's
they
what led
did.
to these
They
trains, those
kind of
really fast
soft.
trains.
They kind of soft led up to current Varric enough that I'm not
Yeah,
upset. And I love
this
Varric, so I'm
season,
not gonna.
I think this season did Varric really, really well by making him the Tony Stark-esque person who's like, I'm a scientist. Like, sure, I'm wacky and stuff, but that's makes me a good scientist. Like, who else is gonna look at spirit vines and think, oh, I can make energy source out of that?
Even the ego and everything, like that's a pretty solid comparison.
Yeah. Um, I really like Varric this season. I think this is the best season of Varric, and not
Oh,
even just because he is like getting that conscious. And then they go, so they, they crash and they blow a hole in the train. Kuvira comes in. She's like, what happened here? And he's like, I'm gonna blow it up or whatever. And then he's like, I gotta shut this baby down. Like, we can't do this. What if it falls in the wrong hands? And then Kuvira's like, no, you'll keep building this. He's like, but it's dangerous. Lately, I've been hearing voices in my head telling me, like, what is things that are. I found it so funny. Telling me things that are wrong aren't good. And then Kuvira like then chokes him out. And he's like, "Well, now you're listening to my voice in your head." It's like, "I don't listen to this voice. These voices in the heads are bad." No, she's like, "The voice in my head is telling me to kill you, pretty much." It's like, what are these voices? We don't need to listen to them. That
It made
doesn't.
me think of when he's trying to describe his conscience. It made me think of in Futurama when Fry has an idea but he can't think of the word with it. He's like, "Oh, I've got one of those like a headache with pictures."
No, good. That's really good lyric stuff.
It is
Um,
tremendous.
Kelsey telling me what's between right and wrong. I believe that voice is your conscious, sir. That was you, Lisa.
Yes.
I love their give and take. Oh, we didn't mention this. Maybe we mentioned this on the last podcast. Did we mention it that Zach Gaff, not Zach Galifianakis? uh,
Although that would not be the worst fit. We did mention Jason Mantzoukas. I don't know how to say that properly.
yeah,
Was
Jason.
on the
Okay,
Avatar podcast and also purely coincidentally Chris's
we
pick.
did, we did, we did. Yeah,
Yep. For to play Varric in the live action
he would
movie.
be so good. But
It would
and
be a
there.
good fit. Although it's funny to picture
Yeah.
Zach Galifianakis now.
Oh gosh, I've been watching a couple of his Between Two Ferns, and this stuff is like, I mean, like it's purposely, each the actor and him are playing off each other. Like it's not scripted, but they're playing into it anyway.
Intentionally obtuse, maybe I think is
Yeah.
what I get out of that.
Oh, weird thing that I was thinking about, not weird thing, but interesting thing is that every single person in Kuvira's camp is wearing like metal on them. So she is pretty much pointing a gun at everybody all the time. Like, sure, you want to dissent? You want to speak against me? Boom. Like,
Force.
yeah. Um, so part of the other side of that plot is is Korra is on her way to Sasu, and Mila wants her to fight Kuvira. He
Naturally.
just wants a no holds bar fight. And Korra's being like, the wiser avatar. They're like, listen, we can probably talk to her. Like, Kuvira saved my dad. Like, sure she can be reasoned with. And Korra tries and fails. Um, and then eventually, Suyin pretty much decides like, all right, I gotta take out. We gotta take out Kuvira. Wait, does that happen this episode? No, it doesn't happen this episode. Sorry. Oh, on this episode, okay. So then they talk, and then nothing goes there. Korra talks to Kavira, and pretty much they kind of agree on a ceasefire, and that kind of ends that side of the plot there. The other part of the plot is Asami is meeting with her dad, which I thought was some really good Asami stuff. Like I kind of forgot how good these moments were. Day Kim, Fire Lord Ozai, soon to be, does a really great job of voicing uh, Hiroshi Sato. Really brings a lot of you can feel the regret in his voice acting, and yeah, just some great voice acting all around there. Really great Asami character development. This is probably the best character stuff I've seen from Asami in the whole show.
It is a pretty touching moment, and I think the next turn in particular, it might be in the next episode, so I'm not going to say it in case I'm wrong, but it's pretty touching. Got my heart, got my heart wet, wet. What is wet? Heart wet, wet heart, wet eyes. What does a heart do? Got my heart going, pumping. There we go.
Pumping. There we go. I
My
love
rock
it.
hard brain.
This,
Sorry, we
this
moved
was a
on.
different podcast. It would there would be so many euphemisms.
So many euphemisms. We've moved on from John Mulaney to now we're just going to quote Brooklyn Nine-Nine because that's the mood I'm in. Me and my rock hard brain.
No, but it's this episode though that they play by show together. So it was really good to see character growth from a villain, and just the way he looks. Like prison and regret has physically changed him. It's like when presidents start off their presidency and they come out. Like Barack Obama went in with black hair, came out just gray hair all around, salt and
Yeah,
pepper.
yeah. He went in
Like they
cool
say, black
and
don't crack, but
yeah.
at a presidency, and then they did a. You ever see that meme of like, of like what Trump's first? It was like before Trump was, uh, maybe like right when he got elected. It's like how it was pretty much how like here's Bush, day one, day whatever, 1,000. Obama, day one, day 1,000. Obama looked older and Bush looked older. Trump, and it was like Trump just looking normal, and then like that goblin from the Goonies, and then
I can't think of
and
his
then
name.
just yeah,
I
and
keep
just
wanting
to
to
be
say
fair,
Hodor, but it's not Hodor, but that's also funny. What the heck is that guy's
and then
name?
they showed like if Bernie Sanders won, even though he was never even a candidate, it showed Bernie Sanders, and then the person from Tales from the Crypt,
The Crypt Keeper, yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, the
So
hair is spot on.
I know, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Poor
Although honestly,
Bernie.
Bernie Sanders hasn't looked like he's aged in the last 30 years, but he just looked really old 30 years ago.
He he hit grandpa age at like 40, but then the bright side is that he's stuck there for a long time.
Yeah. Um, let's see. I'm not sure not much else happens in the episode. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Really good part happened. So Bolin, oh, Bolin's like, hey, what else happened to all the people that we send? What happens to all these cities that we leave and stuff? And Kuvira's like, well, you don't have to worry about that. That's not for you to worry about. And Bolin starts to become more skeptical of Kuvira. And then she's pretty much like, do you need to take these trips? But then Bolin is pretty much like, I gotta get out of here. Him and Varric, he meets Varric and they're both like, Kuvira's crazy. And then they run away. And then
That whole
there's a pretty
sequence of
decent
them
fight.
running away too, and I keep getting mixed up what happens in this episode versus next. But when they pick the fight in the
Yeah.
mech suits,
Yeah, so the mech suit fight happened in this one, and Varric is just like not good at fighting in the mech suits. At one point, he's like, "Who built these things?" And then
what
Drew's
idiot
like, "You
built
did,
these
sir."
things? Yeah,
Yeah, what did he do? But actually, it's a
Judy's
pretty
like,
decent
over to
fight.
you, sir.
The mech suits, in action are always a little jarring because they're very 3D modeled because that's the only way they can do it, and it doesn't stand out bad. But you can tell there's a little bit of something different happening there. But still, it's a pretty decent fight. They do some pretty good maneuvers and stuff.
I mean, it's like our
Um,
first. No, it's not our. Oh my goodness, it's not even the first mech fight, but it's the first mech fight with these type of mechs, and it's kind of funny
yes,
how it plays
the
out.
mechs from season one were like not as mobile. They had tires and stuff. These are like much better mechs. I never understood mech suits like this though. Like, oh wait, never mind. These suits are fine. They're not stupidly designed. You know how sometimes a mech suit, so say,
Are you
okay,
going to talk about like if your arms were actually in the mech's arms versus just controlling levers in front of you on a panel?
yes,
Because I also hate that. Just use
like
levers. Or like at least use some kind of like augmented reality, like you're just in a bubble with your augmented reality helmet and swinging your arms and
like
stuff that way.
so. I love this action figure. This is like one of the first action figures I ever got. It's probably could sell for like $200 on eBay right now, probably. It's really good. It's really cool. So anyway, so this is a Batman mech suit. This is his head, right? He's only probably about this tall. Like his
Yeah,
feet probably come to
yeah,
here.
maybe.
So that doesn't make any sense. His but
Think
his
about
feet are
where
like
his waist is
way
and
down
how his
here.
legs would have to
Yeah,
bend
his
below his
waist
waist.
would have to be right
Yeah, so
here.
like he can't even
And
move
so
his
this,
legs.
yeah. So oftentimes mech suits and comics and TV shows have this issue, and it bothers me all the time.
I'm gonna stick with the idea of I think that I would want to be in a bubble, in a little VR bubble with some kind of suit on, so that the mech's movements mirrored my VR movements.
Mm.
That way I could feel totally natural, but still feel like I was totally in control, as opposed to trying to use a joystick to control an arm or something like that. Because like a joystick can only move on like a 2D plane, but arms move in 3D planes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the
Right.
VR approach as my preferred method.
Anyway,
I'm sure it's been
I don't think
done
I
somewhere.
don't think they have that problem with these mech suits, and I think it's one that you sit down in and you like pull levers and
Are they?
stuff.
Oh, never mind. I was gonna ask if there were benders in there. That's a dumb question. It'd be easier to work a mech suit if you were just a bender. If you're a metal bender, that'd be very easy.
Yeah, these are definitely ones that you kind of sit in, which makes more sense. Which I
Yeah,
would think that Mike and Brian would think everything through and be like, we can't. We're not gonna build something like
not gonna have
doesn't make
these
sense.
dumb mech suits. Gonna
Yeah.
have real ones that Varric would design.
Oh, and there's one sequence in there where Bolin he lava, but he runs, jumps off a cliff, and then like hits the ground and all this lava comes out. I just really love that sequence. I think it's just animated really well. Anyway, they end up losing because of Varric. The thing is, Bolin ends up like him and Shu Li ends up taking out two of them, and eventually Batar Jr. just has Varric's head, like he just crush it,
Fantastic.
and then they get caught, and then uh Julie pretty much betrays them and says that she pledges her loyalty to the Great Uniter, that she should have never put her trust in Varric, and so Kuvir believes her.
It broke
That
my heart.
is
I knew it was coming. It still broke my heart.
mm, that's the
Well,
episode.
um, excellent. I have our ratings not in our normal place. Chris, I'll pull them up on the sheet where we can see them because change. All right.
Yeah. All right.
So, Chris's, you got yours right here if that's helpful.
All right. So audiovisual gave it an 8. Um, Pretty much I think what carries this is the mech suit fight and a couple other things. Story 8.5. I really love seeing the Asami stuff. That's really what pushes this to 8.5. Everything else is kind of setting up. These are really like two-part episodes here. This one and the next one.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. They run
Memorable,
together a lot.
memorable. 7.5. This is one episode where I'm just like, oh yeah, this is kind of like the middle episode because it's like it's the middle of the story, and there's not too much memorable stuff besides kind of some Varric stuff. So 7.5 there. Weighted average is an 8.2.
I did a. So I feel stupid now that I'm saying this out loud. I did audiovisual to 7.5, and I feel like I don't know why I didn't. I feel like I didn't factor in the mech fight for some reason. Like in my mind, it's like a mech skirmish or something. I don't know what I was thinking. But I feel like that deserves higher. But it's too late. It's in there. I did a 7.5. The story in this, it's not that the story itself, goes anywhere yet, but it's like such big developments, such heartbreak with Julie and Varric and Bolin. Like it's really emotional. A lot of big stuff happens. So I actually went to a 9 on the story. And then the memorable, it is pretty memorable, but not as much so. Again, I think I run into a situation where I can't separate it necessarily from the next episode, and the next episode is
Yeah.
where the stuff actually happens. And that, I probably let that weigh too much against this episode, but regardless, 7.5 came out to a 8.1 average, which overall gets us to a. Well, I already forget. Oh, it's because I didn't wait it
8.1.
out. It would be slightly closer to an 8.1 than an
Yeah.
8.2. And yeah, so 8.1, solid episode. It's like we're not to the climax yet. but we are getting there, right? Like this is like where it goes from a pretty gradual slope of escalation or things escalating. Now we're like shooting
Th-
straight up.
This would be like right in the second act of a movie where it feels like kind of all is lost, but you don't know what you're doing. This is like when Bane broke Batman's back in The Dark Knight Rises.
Ah, see, I would argue the backbreak would be the next episode.
Yeah, yes,
But
yes,
we're like getting to that, right? Like he's making a deal
yes,
to
yep.
get down to the sewers, and you know that something big is about to happen.
Yeah, I
And
need to binge all the Batman movies before the Batman comes out,
that's never a
which
bad
is in
plan.
like 2 weeks. Oh man,
This is totally unrelated, but I
Shawn, it's
played
been
Batman Returns on the Super Nintendo yesterday for like an hour. That's the one that's like a beat 'em up, and it's the Michael
yeah,
Keaton, and it like tries to resemble the movie and stuff. But all the bad guys are just clowns. Like you're just walking through the street, just beating up clowns, and somehow that feels mean spirited. But my favorite thing in that game is that you can, if you hold on to the punch button, so after you punch and then you hold on, he'll reach back out and he'll grab him, and then if you hit up, he'll fling him against the wall of a building. And it's just like Super Nintendo beat 'em up stuff, but I don't know why I love it. I love That's like my favorite genre and my favorite system for that genre. Very fond.
mm.
It's a great game
I
if you
remember a
like beating
Power
up
Rangers
clowns.
game. It was kind of like that on the Super Nintendo. I didn't own it. I
Which
think I
one?
went to a friend's house. It was like some Power Rangers game.
Uh huh. The one on the Genesis, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is a little more
Maybe it's on Sega.
beat 'em up y. I think. And then like the most popular one maybe on the entire Super Nintendos is the Turtles. I said Super Nintendos like I'm somebody's mom. Super Nintendo is the Turtles in Time game, was probably the most well known beat 'em up of that whole era, and it is great. I think I'd maybe rather play the Batman game, but more of in a nostalgia way. I wouldn't say it's better. Anyway, off topic. Love that game. Chris, good episode. I'm excited to talk about the next episode because it's where the stuff actually happens, so to speak. Spoiler alert about backbreaking stuff. And we will get to it next week. In the meantime, I'm going to go play more Batman Returns or Pokemon Arceus, which I also bought. Chris, that's all I got. Anything else from
That's
you?
all I got.
All right, man.
I got nothing.
Excellent. In that case, I will see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Later.